We have a calm, cool cat from Colgate, Oklahoma in Luke Palmer, and also a WWE Hall of Famer and current Knox County Mayor, Glenn Jacobs, or you may know him as Kane, both today on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
It is Wednesday once again, and the podcast called simply Mercer is back in your life. The Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast. Happy Hump Day. Hope you're all having a great week. Thank you for coming here today to celebrate this fine day in the middle of the week. And it's not just Wednesday. It's not just Hump Day. It is also National Ice Cream Pie Day, National Pierre Noir Day, for those wine drinkers, National Mail Order Catalog Day, and National Fajita Day. That's right. All good things, no matter what you're celebrating. Thank you for coming here this week. And wow, we got a big show here this week. So I'm going to jump right into it. Two guests here this week. One, a calm, cool cat from Colgate, Oklahoma, third-year Elite Series Pro, Luke Palmer, and WWE Hall of Famer, Kane. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. We'll start with Luke Palmer. And this dude is playing up a prime example of hard work and being a good guy and finding success in life. And if this interview doesn't prove anything, I think it will prove that. He is truly one of the good guys, truly one of the hardest workers out there, has more jobs currently than I've had in my entire life cumulatively. But let's go to Colgate, Oklahoma, and welcome in Luke Palmer. I am joining Luke Palmer right now, and I'm assuming you are in Colgate, Oklahoma?
That's where I'm at, sitting at the hardware store, getting ready to get going.
See, that's what makes me, for whatever reason, I've always, there's certain people you're like, hey, that's a dude I need to hang out with. We have a little bit in common, but this is not one of the things because I've spent my entire life avoiding work. And you, my friend, you seem to do more work than most people. You have multiple jobs. You're not just an Elite Series Pro, are you?
No, I wish I was. I wish that's all I did. I wish I fished every single day. Now I come back home as soon as we're done with the tournament. I'm pretty much, we at Champlain or St. Lawrence River. I get in the truck as soon as it's over with, drive home, go back to work, and get the grass cut, get the cows worked, get back to the hardware store and try to help some people around. So there's not very many days off for me, which, to do what we do and stuff like that, you gotta sometimes foot the bill, and I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me. So I got to get back to work, and that way I stay on the water. That's the only way I can do it.
Is that the goal in your mind? Is the perfect goal at some point? It's just fishing. That's the only thing I focus on. Or with your family and your history with the store and everything, is that even an option?
I'd like to say it would be. I would love, just to strictly go be like Taku right now and be sitting at South Dakota on Oahe or wherever he's at fishing. But I don't know if I could ever get out of the store. It's been in my family, I think, for 80 years. And that'd be very tough to completely walk away from and not have it, just because of the ties I've had with it and the people I get to see every day and deal with. And I enjoy that, a lot. But all in all, it would be pretty cool just to be fishing every day, and really get to learn it and just enjoy being on the water. But, like I said, I enjoy being around people, and this is home to me, I guess you'd say,
For those, I've never been, but a hardware store can be many things. When you visualize a hardware store, it could be many. But what is life at the hardware store like? What do you do there? What kind of store is it?
It's actually, we have a little bit of everything. We have furniture, we have appliances, we sell mowers, we sell deer corn, concrete. We have a fishing section, which, I kind of try to man that up a little bit. Boats. We're kind of one of those mom and pop stores that way you can, if you have a major problem, we should be able to get you fixed. And we still actually help people when they come in the front door. It's, hi, how are you doing? And I actually help them. You know, I kind of you gotta have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of different areas to try to be able to help them. But you know, I get here at 7:15 to 7:30, and I leave here at 5:30 or 6 every day. But I wouldn't change it. I mean, like I said, when people come to the door and you can help them with, because everybody I deal with has a problem. I mean, very rarely is it like, woohoo, I get to go to see Luke the hardware store because my pipes are broke, you know. But when they do get out of here, I hope I've helped them, and that's the satisfaction I guess you get out of it. It's almost as good as catching a 5-pounder at the Classic, but not quite.
So in my head, I visualize that this hardware store is like a throwback in time. You know what I mean? Where you're not used to, it's where the hand is there to, you know, shake your hand when you come in the door. You know, a lot of the people. Is that? It sounds kind of howdy doody-ish, but I mean, it seems about right.
You know, that's really how it is. It's kind of how we've, I don't know how you'd say it, how we've ran our business for my entire life that I've known it. Because I've been to places where you walk in and you don't know where anything is, and you wander aimlessly around for 2 hours and you still don't know where you're at. So when someone walks in the door here, I can actually walk them. I can take their hand and walk them over to the bolt section and get exactly what they need and get them in and get out instead of having to wait around forever. Because when you got issues or problems, you need to get in and get out and go on. And that's where it's kind of helped for us. So I think that's been a good thing, because we have been very blessed with people. They've started traveling a long ways, especially this pandemic stuff, to buy washers and dryers from us from 2 hours away. I mean, I don't know if it's because we've normally try to keep a pretty good stock, and I keep things stocked up for things that happen. You know, they need things now because we can't get things. You know, it doesn't matter if it's fishing stuff has been a hard thing to get. You know that. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of aggravating in a way, but that's where we're at in life. I guess you'd say it sucks, but you know, we just have to try to do the best we can and roll on to it. And it still sucks. So when I get my sheet every week and I have 150 items that didn't come in because they're out of stock, that kind of hurts your feelings a little bit.
Well, if I'm ever in Colgate, Oklahoma and I have a problem, I know where to go. But I do want to talk to you about fishing. How in the world, when I look at your record, you've had an incredibly consistent, what is it, 3 years now? Is that the end of your third year on the Elite Series? Yeah. Would you agree with me? An incredibly consistent record.
It has been, but I'll be honest, last year pissed me off.
Why?
You know, because I sucked. I mean, don't get me wrong. On paper, I had a good year, but 2 tournaments and it could have been a great year. You know, I'm saying a top 10 to me is a great year, you know, in points. And I was 20th. I've moved up a little bit, but I've been close each year in 1 or 2 tournaments to have a shot at winning one. And that would kind of solidify it, I guess, for me to really consider I've had a good year. And I mean, making a Classic, don't get me wrong, I'm tickled to death with that, because you know, after about 3 tournaments, if you're not pushing for Angler of the Year, you better be surviving to get to that Classic. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. Like, I really didn't. My first year, you know, I made the Classic. I was like, okay, this ain't gonna be too bad. Yeah, BS. It's
just another tournament, right?
It's not. I mean, it's tough. I mean, and everybody's getting better every year, you know. And the guys coming in, they're not rookies. These guys coming in anymore. I mean, they're not like Luke coming in that doesn't have a spinning rod. These guys have already got their stuff lined up in life and know what's going on.
Wait a second. Did you really not have a spinning rod when you came into the Elite Series?
No, I didn't.
You qualified for the Elite Series and you did not have a spinning rod.
I didn't even own one. Okay, I take that back. I had a trout rod that I used when I was in college, because we have a little blue river, they call it, and they stock trout in it every year. I mean, I spent some time in there during college, but now you should have seen me at all.
What happened to make you embrace the spinning rod? Something must have, was there one event or?
Well, I think it was Hartwell that first year. you had to try to skip a wacky worm under a dock. Yeah, you should have seen. I told my marshals as soon as they got in the boat, I said, I'm going to end up on top of this dock, around stuff. Like, it's pitiful. I mean, it was. I wish I'd have had a GoPro going then, because we could have put a bloopers video for 2 months just for what I was doing. Didn't know how to tie a braid to fluoro, never heard of it. I mean, Brock Mosley, he kind of helped me out, and he said, get you some braid and tie your fluoro. So how do you do that? So I had to get on YouTube, watch Paul Nick's videos, on the tie, and I had like 25 or 30 pound test braid, the smallest I could find, a 15-pound fluoro, which the hell, I didn't know you need anything smaller than that. I still made the cut, but I was very fortunate and lucky. But it's been a learning experience, man. I just, Oklahoma, we don't have to have spinning rods. I mean, since I've got them and started using them now, it's going to be, if we ever do come back here, it's going to help a lot. But it's been a very trying, that first year and a half was very trying for me. Go up to the St. Lawrence River, that we don't have current here. Arkansas rivers got current, but our bass don't associate the current like those crazy fish do.
Yeah.
And out there drifting around, and I looked like I broke stuff. I was, the first pre-practice trip up there, I wanted to like take every one of my rods and break them and drain the St. Lawrence River. But I was very, very frustrated. But, back to the consistency deal, it's been really, I don't know. I guess because I'm just a grinder. I mean, you watch me on live, I don't just thrash the heck out of fish. I don't. I'm probably boring watching on live, because I'm only going to catch 6-7 fish a day. I might do something dumb and hang the back of my head with a jerkbait or something. But other than that, I just fish as hard as I can from the time I kick my trolling motor out to the time I put it up, and hope for 6 or 7 bites. I mean, it's, Gunnersville actually was probably one of my funnest tournaments I've had, to be in the top 10. I caught a lot of fish the first 3 days. Day 4 was a little bit tougher. But it's been a grind. I mean, I don't know if it's because how I fish in Oklahoma, because we don't fish groups, or I don't, I'm a target fisherman, run up and hit a lay down here and then hit 30 more lay downs and hopefully catch 5 fish. That's how I've ran my whole career up to fishing elite. And now we go to these badass fisheries, and it's like, what are all these fish doing here? I mean, because we're not used to it as much here in Oklahoma. Just, them Canadian fish are a little bit more aggressive.
They're dumb as rocks.
They if it's something in front of them, they're going to bite, which is, that's what I wish everybody could experience going up there and fishing up north, though, because our fish down here get beat from December 31st to December 31st every year, and I don't know if they get tougher or fishing will get worse, one of the two, because we just pound the same stuff over and over again.
So what did you do to go from, it blows me away that you did not, have a spinning rod when you qualified, but to go from that to, when I watch you, I mean, I'm assuming you're fairly proficient with the spinning rod now. You obviously put in some time. How much time did you put in to play catch up in that department?
Well, whenever, after the Gunnersville Classic, we got shut down. I have some private lakes and stuff I can go to, and they have big ones, like 6, 7, 10, 12, even 14 pounders in it.
Wow.
Well, I took a spinning rod and I told my dad, I said, this is all I'm taking. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm going to learn to throw a wacky worm, because I know when we go back to Santee Cooper, which is where I was at whenever we got shut down. And I said, I'm going to learn this daggone thing. And I went 4, 5, 6 weekends, and that was all I threw, was a wacky worm. And it was ridiculous how many fish I caught, but I'm still learning. It's like they'd never seen anything like that before here. But I spent, and even this last weekend, I went fishing with Dad, and we went to some deals, and I almost threw that spinning rod. That was it, because I said, I've got to get better with it. And I'm still not. I mean, it might look impressive, but it's not. You know, maybe you get to see the good stuff when I'm not on top of the docks or beating someone's pontoons to death. But it was tough. I mean, like I said, I'm still not good at it, but I have worked at it. I mean, we go to even just go and free fishing for tournaments or something around here. I've got a spinner rod on my deck just because I'm going to try it. I mean, because you've got to do it. I mean, I was a bait caster guy, hardcore, regardless if it was drop shotting or jigging or whatever, I would still be throwing a bait caster. It took some time to get used to that on a drop shot, but I would still throw 20-pound tests and just wreck the hell out of them when I could. But
the narrative that you hear today from everybody is if I'm not Takumi Ito, who literally just finished pre-fishing, I think yesterday, you know, the season's a month over and he just headed back to Japan, I think yesterday, or got home yesterday, whatever it was. If I don't do that, or if I don't have all the money in the world to buy all the electronics, there's no way to make it on the Elite Series. That's what people will say. Or there's no way to make it and have a job. So how are you competing when you look at, I mean, that's a month worth of pre-fishing that you weren't able to do. You know, you went back to work. So how are you able to compete with that? Is there something, is it just literally that work ethic?
I think it's got to be some of the work ethic. You know, I mean, every one of us put in daylight to dark, just about. You know, when we get there, everybody has the same set of skills. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's anglers who are better at adapting and stuff. But I really think the mental side is the difference between finishing mid-pack and to the top, I guess you'd say. Just because I don't have a limit at 1 o'clock, or just because I don't catch on my first spot, which is normally, that's how it is for me. I don't ever pull up on a spot and just wreck them like I'm supposed to. So I have to mentally, a lot of guys are going to spin out. Well, I've been used to that my whole life. Things not working out right off the bat. So, you know, you just go. And I've said it a lot. I've got one of those shooter mentality, I guess, in basketball. If I miss 6 in a row, I don't remember what happened those 6, you know, and just like losing a fish, you can't remember it. If you do, it's liable to eat on you all day long, and just, it can ruin your whole day. Don't let one fish ruin your day. And I kind of use that as when I'm there fishing too, is in my spots. Cause like I said, normally 1, 2, and 3 don't work. So maybe 4, 5, and 6 are going to. But going on the work, you put in as much time as you can, you know, watching old videos, reading things on it. And now since we got Google Earth, which is, you know, you can go and look back on time on it. And it's been a learning experience for me, you know, but I still go back to you know, everybody watches the old videos, you know, everybody's watched a wahi already like 46 times and trying to figure out where Daniels is fishing at. I can't catch his fish. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
You have to do what you're capable of doing. And that's kind of what I've really leaned on. You know, I like to flip and stuff like that, but I've also went and learned how to use that spinning rod, you know, where it's not as bad of a situation when I pick it up and the line's pulled off into the rod box and I want to kill myself. But you just have to go with what you can do. I mean, because I've learned too that if I'm trying to do something outside of the box that I'm not used to against these guys who are already doing the outside of the box stuff, I'm going to get my butt kicked 9 times out of 10, you know, because my versatility is maybe I'm not as comfortable doing those things because that's not my confidence level. So I'm going to go back to my confidence. Or when we go up to Wahi, I'm liable to be up. I don't know if there's grass or anything in it, but if there's rocks, well, we got rocks in Oklahoma. You know, I mean, that's about all we got is rocks. So I know how to fish rocks, so I can, you know, use that into different situations. And I think it could play dividends for me. Sometimes it'll kick me in the butt like it did at Knoxville. But sometimes confidence is really, really good. Sometimes it can be bad on situations. Yeah. Knoxville, for instance. That was, God, that's still like, it fires me up even thinking about that tournament.
Why still today?
Oh, it's still like that. Like has drove me nuts ever since that. When it was over with, I mean, that was my worst finish I've ever had, like 95th. And after my practice, I called my buddy on day one, and the first hour and a half was like, this is going to be a good one. Like it's not going to be a big weight tournament, which is good for me because I'm not a big hammer, like catching 95 pounds a day. It's just not me. And I told him, I said, this could be a possibility for me. And then I drove by Gussie, and he was calling out every 3 seconds. And I just couldn't get anything going. I found some big smallmouth that they moved like smallmouth do, except Gussie's. They didn't move at all. They just like moved into his live well or moved out.
Yeah.
But I was really pissed off after that one. Like I really thought I was going to do well in it. And then I completely shelled. That if I would have had a decent tournament there, I could have been in the top 10 in points in that one. Just, one terrible finish, and it could have been a lot better season for me.
How have you been able to avoid the one pitfall that it seems that anglers fall into early in their Elite Series career is dock talk and following to fish like somebody else. I think I maybe know the answer. You seem incredibly comfortable in your own skin, comfortable being who you are. You know what I mean? You're not trying to be somebody different. Am I reading that right? Is that how you've been able to avoid that, or did you fall into that a few times?
I've kind of went, like I said, I've done my own thing. I've watched Christie and Hackney and all them guys, but we all have people we've watched and seen how they do things. And it's like, they don't give a damn how everybody else catches them. They're going to go and catch them flipping or throwing a spinnerbait. That's what they're going to go do. And I think that's the reason I guess I'm the way I am, because don't get me wrong. You have to say, if you can't catch them on a spinnerbait, you better go be able to throw a drop shot or something and catch them to avoid it. But you just have to stay true to yourself, but it does get tough. Because hell, you come up to them now, it's like, heck, they're catching 25 pounds a day. Well, I ain't caught anything over 12 and a half all week long. So this is going to be rough on me. Whenever the year I qualified, we went to Ross Barnett the first tournament, and I'd never seen grass before, didn't know what it was. I'd seen coontail, which is in ponds. That's all I got here.
Yeah.
And then we show up there and everybody's like, oh, it's going to take 30 pounds a day to win this tournament. Well, guys, there's 220 boats in a lake the size of your pinky. It didn't take, I think it took 50 something pounds to win there.
Yeah.
It was brutal, tough, big cold front, whatever. But I just kept chugging away. Everybody was out, you're going to have to fish offshore to do really well and all this. Well, I went back to beating the bank like I always do. And, I ended up really well. I had I can't remember who won that tournament, but we were fishing 50 yards from each other. He was just out a little bit further than me, and I had to fish on to do well and win it, but he put them in the boat. That's just part of it. But that tournament there allowed me to get the confidence in myself to say, hey, you can do this your way. You don't have to do it everybody else's way, because that's not how you do things. Just chug along and work as hard as you can at what you're doing, and then let the chips fall where they may fall.
It's really cool and really rare to hear that from somebody who just finished their third season on the Elites, honestly, because it's easy for Jason Christie to be that way. It's easy for Greg Hackney to be that way, because they became that way through success, through winning. I won that way, so I'm going to... But everybody becomes who they are through a bunch of different people being involved. And I imagine Jason Christie had to be one of the guys that you looked up to growing up in Oklahoma. You're kind of, I remember before I even knew you, I explained you as a more approachable, friendly Jason Christie. When I watch you fish, mannerisms wise, you're very, very much, but not near as intimidating.
Yeah, I don't want to kill you. I just, I can still talk. I don't have to don't get in my creek with me,
Not yet. Give you a few years.
That's one thing I've just been pretty chilled about things. I don't, a lot of guys get mad at each other because this guy's beating our butt every week, or, I never really was that guy. My dad, we'd go to tournaments together when I was 11. And we got our teeth kicked in a lot of years. And because he let me do the show instead of him running it, probably is the reason. But
he lets you run the boat.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't a very good decision on his part, because we fished against we had to fish against Jeff Reynolds, guys like that on the same team, which wasn't too good down here in Oklahoma. But it was,
he was playing the long game. It seemed like it worked out. His approach may have worked out long game.
It did. It gave me, it didn't have much confidence early in life, but I learned to get beat, and that's because in baseball and basketball, I've had a fairly successful career doing that, in high school and stuff like that. And I think the fishing deal actually made me say, hey, you're not near as good as what you think you are sometimes. And it's very humbling. But like I was saying, we would stay around the tournament regardless if we got our teeth kicked in or if we won. We're the last ones to leave. Hell, we sometimes help them clean up. That was just, we enjoy being around people. But people, like you say, I said, people would get mad at, say, me, or I've done really well in these tournaments and done good, and they get where they wouldn't talk. And it's like, guys, it's not me. It's not you. I'm fishing against the fish. I'm not going to get mad at you for you catching more fish than me. That's my own fault, so I'm going to get mad at myself. And that's why I always kind of took it. And cause I don't know, I like being around people. You've kind of noticed that the last few years. You got hanging out after tournaments and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. And because when the tournament's over with, that's when the stress is done. When I step off the water at 3:00, that day is over with. I'm gonna, you gotta chill. You gotta decompress. And I watch the Yen Zone of that show, and how you said you got to decompress every now and then and just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's very important to be yourself, and I think that's one of the reasons that you've really been as comfortable and done as well as you have. But you just threw out a term that everyone uses. It's not, I'm not trying to beat you. It's me against the fish. And I get that. But there is certain people, I'm sure, that are a little more fun to beat than others. And that's what I'm going to ask you right now. Who do you like to beat on the Elite Series? Who do you like to trash talk? And who trash talks you when they beat you?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't really have anybody.
You're just too good a person. Like if you've never heard of Luke Palmer before, now you've tuned into this podcast, you're like, good God, he will fix your washer dryer and he'll just help you. I mean, there has to be some darkness in you.
Shoot, I don't know. Like I'm just, hell, I get along with everybody. You see me in the tank line.
You do.
Hell, I talk to literally everybody. Unless you're up front, you don't get to be in the back very often.
I know.
But I get along with everybody. I don't have anybody that's enemies. I would like to beat Hackney every now and then, but he seems to elude that somehow. I like Hackney. Like I met him at a show the year he wasn't with us. And I think that was the year that he was trying to, the dark year. And he was coming back actually then. And had done a show with him. And after that, I've talked to him all the time and really respect him and like the guy. A lot of guys are intimidated by him. Hell, he pulls up beside me and drops his poles. And I think he gives me his stare just trying to intimidate me. But it's not always there.
I think he definitely embraces that role. You know what I mean? And I think him and Christy, because they really are two of the nicest dudes. But that role has become a thing. And I guess I don't know if it became like, I'm sure at some time Tommy Biffle gave that same look to Greg Hackney. You know what I mean? It's a generational. You got to be the intimidator. Those are guys that I think embrace that role. Do you agree with me on that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've only been around Biffle a couple of times, but his issue, I think, is his shorts are a little bit too tied up, sucking him up a little bit. And that kind of gives him that would probably aggravate me too.
Makes you ornery.
But, but, you kind of have to have that, in basketball, kind of used to do stuff like that in a way you got to shut people down. If you can take their confidence away from them, that's another big deal. And because if you're not confident in what you're about to go out and do, and you're scared that these guys are going to beat your teeth in, you're going to be in trouble.
All right. I'm going to ask you a blunt question. How in the world, there's people who work in hardware stores all across the world that would love to be in the position you're in. Why did you end up here? Have you ever stopped to think and say, man, because you fished with a lot of good, what are those guys? Those guys behind you they're doing real work. They're not like you, right?
Yeah. They're getting ice and stuff right now.
Oh, wow. All right. Good day ahead. You have to have said that to you. I mean, I know I do it to myself all the time. I'm like, I've worked with a lot of better MCs and people who I think should have my job, but for whatever reason, I ended up where I am, and I'm thankful for every moment of it. Have you ever had that thought?
Dude, I think that every day. When I literally when I get to a tournament, it doesn't seem right. It really doesn't. My first year, whenever we done that, we went to Little Rock and did the kind of like a pre-show type stuff, and walked in there and heard Tommy Sanders' voice for the first time. Like that was and Bob Cobb, he was there too. So that was like mind blown instantly, because their voice, you don't forget it. It's like you and Zona, like I can hear you guys from across the street, and it seems surreal every single time for me. It doesn't, walking up on the stage even doesn't seem right, because I still feel like I should be out there, or well, not out there. I should be here at the hardware store watching it on live. It just doesn't, it doesn't go with me. And it feels awkward. It really does. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love every second of it when I'm there, but it still doesn't seem right. It still doesn't seem like I should be fishing a classic. I don't know. It's just weird. It just had never set into me, I guess, because I'm not fishing full time. You know what I mean? I'm still coming back and going to work every day. And, that's just what I do.
Do you think that will help you stay more competitive as time goes on? Just that realistic, if you start to believe your own press clippings, that seems to be when it goes down, but that clearly does not seem to be the case with you. I mean, if you look at your record, you've done incredibly well, but you still kind of feel like you're living outside your body. Is that a good place to be?
It is, because I think like you said, I think it does. It drives me harder to get to where I want to be. I would love to be doing it full time, which I probably won't ever do it full time. You know what I mean? I'm still going to have the store, hopefully, unless we decide to get rid of it. And then I'm going to have to suck it up, become Taku. And, but I don't know. I had a kid come in here today. It's kind of weird. I don't know if you watched that video.
I did.
That kid coming in, and you talk about weird for me, because I'm still Luke the Hardford guy. To me, I'm not a professional. It doesn't seem like that to me. And seeing that kid walk in was pretty special. It blew my mind, because I wasn't expecting him to like break down, because he lives literally 45 minutes from me in a town that I've played ball against, and and it was pretty cool. It still shocks me. Like, it doesn't make sense. I was trying to sell my washer and a couch while they were here. So
what is, I know you want to fish full time and all that, but what, when this all ends, what needs to happen for you to look back and be like, man, I did what I wanted to do in that sport?
I want to win, I want to pull a Seth and have a hell of a year like he did. I want to have one of those years bad. Everybody wants the three titles, the Blue Trophy, Classic, and Angler of the Year. But I don't know. It would be a toss up between me and the Angler of the Year and the Classic, of which one I think would be the biggest thing. But I think being competitive, really competitive, the entire time I'm on the Elite. Since I've already screwed up, I wanted to win one my first year. I wanted to win one my second year. I wanted to win one my third. I've already screwed that up, and I said I wanted to make every single cut that I could ever, in every Elite tournament. Well, I screwed that up first year. So the only thing I'd like to do from now on is make every Classic. That would, that's the main goal. I mean, because if you're not there, you can't win it. And I think that would be my next thing. Maybe I don't know where Van Dam's, where did his run stop at? 28, 30, wherever it was.
28. Yeah, he was at 28. Well, Clun had, actually he had, I think it was 25 in a row that he got to fish. I think it was 25 he got to fish, but don't you ever put me in the spot like that again.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to, if I would love to be able to do that, but that means I got to fish for another 23 years to even have a shot at that. And I hope my body can hold up for another 23 years from the beatings we take out there on the water. But that would be, that's the goal now. But I'm going to take it one day at a time. I mean, when we show up next year at Palatka, I'd love to win that one there too. I just want to do well, and do well for sponsors and stuff like that. Because if it wasn't for them, we're not going to make it. Even me working every day, it'd still be rough.
Yeah. It seems like your goals and everything has a bit of a pattern. I mean, it's just keep working hard and keep doing well, and the rest will take care of itself. Highlight. Well, if you had to pick one day on the Elite Series or Classic, in the last 3 years, is there a day that stands out to be like, man, that's the day that I look back at as the best? Or if you wish to use your worst day, that you can use that.
Oh, Gunnersville on day 2, on day 1, I thrashed them pretty good too. But on day 2, it was like everywhere I went, it was, a 3.5, 4 pounder. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to go to Champlain when I caught 20 pounds of smallies. That was probably the stupidest, craziest fun day I've had. And I lost a bunch of fish, some really big ones. And then I thought, boy, day 3, it's going to be on. And then I pulled up and had like 17 pounds in 20 minutes. I was like, yep, I got all day to catch a 4 pounder. And then I never caught another 4 pounder all day. But that day before, I found a lot of big smallmouth and some big schools, and it was pretty cool. But, them smallmouth don't like me sometimes, and they run, and they did. But the worst one was definitely the Knoxville deal. Like on day 2 of Knoxville, I think I lost like 8 keepers in a row. And that was one where just keepers were vital.
Yeah, that's gold.
Oh, well, they were. And I lost a 4 pounder on the first day, which would have gave me 7 pounds, which doesn't sound like much, but you're still in a possibility of doing well. And then you lose 7. And what was really nice is my marshal told me every time I lost one. He was like, dang, that one there would have really helped you. That would have culled out that little one you just caught. Or oh, I was like, my mind was like, you talk about a trying day. And it was pouring down rain. It was miserable, it was 40 degrees cold and raining and miserable. And I was very, 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 very frustrated when I stepped off the boat that day. But, we bounced back and had a pretty good, I didn't miss a cut till St. Lawrence River after that. So, and that place there kills me. But I'm learning.
I got to ask you about one day and one experience, because if I don't ask you about it, I'll get in trouble from others. What happened? You went to the beach one day this year. It's not all just work. Some days you got to go to the beach, right? Tell me the story, what happened and how it all worked out.
that was, I'm going to say BS on going to the beach. It wasn't work because that was the worst work I think I've ever done. Well, at Mallett's Bay, I was whatever that bay is down there. I was going to, well, if I cut through this bridge, I'm going to save myself like 4 days of running because you have to go all the way back around the run. And I was wanting to go to the inland sea and look at some stuff on the south end of it. Well, if I cut through the bridge, it's like 4 miles. If I go around the bridge, it's 44 miles. So I'll run across it.
Yeah.
You know, no big deal. And we run across sand all the time. Well, as I'm running, I look beside me and I'm seeing the bottom, which is nothing new at Champlain. It's clear. And I run and look at that bridge, and there's a gravel bar across that bridge. And I got nervous and I checked up and I tried to turn. She was locked. There was no turning whatsoever. I mean, I was already sandblasting for a wave. I wasn't running with about 50 or so, and then I stabbed it. I said, the hell with it. You know, maybe, hopefully it drops off when I get there. Well, the closer I got, the further that gravel bar came across, and I sissied up and I backed out of it. And when I backed out of it, she planted. I mean, planted. Well, when I get out, I'm like in between my foot and knee deep, which is not deep enough to float a boat. Not a 21 PHX anyway. I got out and I couldn't even, it was so stuck, I couldn't even turn the boat around to go back the other way. And whenever there was a guy salmon fishing on the other side of the bridge, I'm like, I mean, what are the chances? Well, this guy, he walks out there, he said, you got a problem, huh? I'm like, you dang right I do. Well, he helped me push. We got her turned around, but at 19 feet, there was a little ditch, like that was 5 inches deeper than where I was at, which would have been enough. I think I could have got her pushed on out. Well, the only spot in that entire little flat that was clay was where I was stuck at.
You found it.
I found it. I mean, literally, when you walked out at 19 feet on the front of my boat, you would kind of sink in the sand because there was the old little channel there. Well, I'd walked out about 145 feet. There was a 4-foot ditch. I mean, like you would fall off and it'd be over waist deep. I'm like, hell, if I get there, I'm fine. Well, this guy calls his wife. She drives 45 minutes and brings us shovels and rakes. And I dug on this boat for 2.5 hours, which I would dig, and I had all the way back almost to my motor dug out on this deal. And I'm wet, raining on me. I'm pissed because I'm like, this is all I need at 10 o'clock in the morning because, you know, I'm at Champlain. I need to find some more fish. And finally, this guy's like, you have to call a Coast Guard or something because we heaved and hove on this boat. And I'm like,
how many hours in are you at this point?
This is at 10:30 it happened. This is at 2 o'clock.
Goof.
I mean, I have pushed on this boat. You can't get her to budge. I mean, both of us, it's just, and the longer I'm there, the madder I'm getting. Well, and I don't have my inhaler and I got asthma. So there's me digging on this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you can't do this stuff because my camper's 2 hours away from where I'm at. I said, this is not good for me. Well, anyway, I called this guy. Well, he shows up in this 14-foot Boston Whaler with a 50-horse Honda on it. And I'm thinking, how is this guy going to pull me out and he gets out in his boat and he starts walking up there. I'm like, well, this is something like, this is new. Well, he ties up rope out there to where that 4-foot ditch was, which he had dug himself already. And because he had pulled Mark Rose and Mark Davis off the week before.
Come on.
The same sandbar. I swear. Because when I called him, he's like, I know exactly where you're at. And this is, people have already told him because they were driving down the interstate, get out of their cars, take pictures of me, get back in their vehicles and drive down the road. They don't ask if I'm okay. Hey, you need help. It's just like injury to insult. So I'm not happy. Well, anyway, this guy drops his motor in the sand, blows out a hole, and digs a trench all the way back to my boat and pulls me out with a 14-foot Boston Whaler.
Do you think maybe it's a business for that guy? Did he charge you?
Oh yeah, I got charged.
I'm putting a pattern together here.
Yeah. So I was, and finally at 4:30, I was able to get in my boat and actually drive it. And I think it felt like I had worked out for like a week straight, entire body. I was like, for the tournament, I was so give out. My forearms were cramping up. It was like misery. But but then I talked to Walters, so I wasn't the only one. Walters got pulled off of the same spot, but it took the Coast Guard and 1,500 foot of rope for them to get enough. Oh yeah, it's forever before you hit deep water. But I did save someone else some money. This boat come up, a big ski rig come up, and I was like, look at these guys. You're about to make you some real good money. This is a lot of guys there. And he's like, yeah, they better stop. And I run out in front of the boat and start waving my hands and stuff. And whenever they shut down, that big boat was just planted. And I'm like, well, you should have took initiative whenever. But there was like 10 of them, and they unloaded their beer and stuff out of the boat, and their ice chest were floating. They pushed the boat around. They got out of there. They didn't have to come help me though, which kind of hurt my feelings.
At least offer you a beer.
No joke, because I needed one in a bad way. Right? I can promise you that. It was
one of the things that you had mentioned that I don't get to see is backstage. Where did you go? Yeah. You have disappeared on me.
Hang on.
Hit your screen again. This is so unprofessional. There you are.
Okay. Gosh, dang, my bad.
One of the things you mentioned I don't get to see, and you're right, is backstage. I never get to see, and that's how how life is. You always want to see what you can't see, right? Like, so I'm always like, backstage must be awesome during weigh-in, because that's the thing I never get to see. But one thing I'm lucky that I do get to see, and I'm one of the few people that get to see it, is before you ever go on stage, or any angler, I get to see your partner's reaction. And watching the relationship you have with Lauren and how much she rides on whether you catch them or don't catch them. Literally, when you don't catch them, I watch her and you can see how crushed she is, just as crushed as you are in that moment. How important is that relationship? Because watching you guys, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see a relationship like that.
It is. It definitely takes time, and I think it takes a lot of understanding to figure out that it can be. There's so many highs and lows, in this sport, and you kind of have to share them and understand when it's time to be quiet and understand when it's time to hoop and holler. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Because doing it by yourself, it would be tough. It is. It's very frustrating sometimes, and sometimes you just need a relax, I guess, to get away from it all, and to have someone there to help with that. It definitely it helps a lot.
Amazing relationship, and an amazing 3 years you've had in the Elite Series, and one thing is evident. Whether you're on the beach or whether you're at the hardware store or whether you're trying to learn how to use a spinning rod, hard work has been your motto, and it's working for you, dude.
It's been a trip, and like I said, I hope I get to do it for a long time. If I can still catch a few fish every now and then and pay for it, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I've got to meet a lot of people. I've got to fish in places that I guarantee I'd have never left Colgate much if it wasn't for the Elite. I'd have never got to go to Champlain, which I think is the mecca of all fun things in life. So that's been fun, and I hope we get to go back there, because I'd like to win at that place too, because that's just a fun place. I know you've probably fished it once or twice in your life.
Yeah. Stay out of mallets. Stay out of mallets.
I don't want to go to Gilligan's Island. When I said that, I think Zona about lost it that day. That was probably my claim to fame right there, is finally getting Zona to laugh a little bit. But I don't know. It still don't seem, it's still a dream to me. Like if I ever did win one, it would be, I'd probably be 6 months later be like, don't know what that trophy's doing here, but it's here, which would be, I'd probably find out real quick. The bank account would have definitely appreciated it. I can promise you that. But I want one. I want you to have to say, look, finally done it one time. That's the dream.
Well, I don't think there's too many people in this sport thinking it's a question of if. It's a question of when. Thank you very much. He is a calm, cool cat from Colgate, Oklahoma, and evidently somebody's washer needs a nut or something. So I'll you're getting paged.
Yeah, but appreciate you having me and everything. though.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, bud.
How cool a cat is that dude? Luke Palmer, an incredibly hard worker. And as I said in the interview, I don't think it's a question of if, it's a question of when. And just a good dude. I mean, literally, he is the dude that you think about it. When you're in trouble and you go to walk in a hardware store and you need help with something, that's the dude you want to answer the door. And an incredibly hard work ethic and just a good guy. And I guess we're putting a pattern together for our show. If you work really, really hard in life, you can accomplish some things and more than just one thing. Because Luke Palmer comes from many, many jobs. And our next guest has many, many jobs. The first job that most of you knew him as is WWE Hall of Famer Kane, The Undertaker's brother. I mean, he scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid. I mean, probably the scariest I've ever been, or most scared I've ever been at wrestling. What was Kane? I mean, he was just menacing and scary. But luckily in life, I've got to meet him, and Kane no longer competes in WWE, no longer wrestles. He's got into a much more aggressive way of making a living. He is the Knox County Mayor. How amazing is that? And his real name is Glenn Jacobs. But not only to be a WWE Hall of Famer. I mean, if I did that with my life, I literally would be drunk on an island somewhere telling everybody how great I once was. But he is sharing his greatness with the rest of the world as a politician, a good dude, and sometimes too good maybe, because my big mouth has gotten me in trouble because I met him a few times and we did a little trash talking and I told him he couldn't choke slam me and I'm not scared of him. And then somehow I said, if the Classic ever comes back to Knoxville, you can choke slam me. Well, the good news is the Classic is not scheduled to come back to Knoxville yet, but it is the home of the record crowd, so I'm sure we'll be back there. And we'll see if said choke slam happens, but I'll bring him in right now, ladies and gentlemen. Kane, our Knox County Mayor, Glenn Jacobs. All right, this is not the kind of show you tune into and are used to seeing people voted in positions, let's say. People who have demands on their time to run a country, to run a county, to run a city. Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs, I don't know how I convinced you to do this, but you're actually part of our silly little podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Our relationship obviously started at the record-setting Bassmaster Classic, which was held in Knoxville just a few years ago. And was that your first kind of introduction to the sport of pro fishing?
As far as a live event, yes. I mean, I've seen it on TV. Of course, I'm a big fan of Bill Dance and watching him out there do his thing, especially when I was a little kid, But so, and I have some friends that dabble in professional fishing a little bit. Actually, Knox County Sheriff Tom Spangler was a professional bass fisherman. So I'm aware of it, but that was my first ever live event to go to. Man, it was awesome. I mean, going to Thompson Bowling Arena and seeing just the setup and everything happening and the entertainment value, it did remind me a lot of WWE with the great entrances and just the production value was through the roof. So I had a really great time being there. And as you said, it was huge and massively successful when we did it in Knox County.
Well, it was very successful. And it was, I'll say my favorite Classic, just simply because, the bigger the crowd, the bigger the pop, the better. I loved it. And I can't wait to get back there. But I have a problem because sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble. And I kind of made a deal with you and said that if we ever do come back there, I will let you choke slam me on stage. Now, let's not put the cart before the horse. There's been no announcements made or anything. I don't know that we'll be back there. I hope that we will be back there. But are you going to follow through with this if we do come back there?
Well, unlike a lot of politicians, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, that's what I plan on doing. So, yes, you will get chokeslammed if you come back to Knoxville.
Okay. And I'm sure there's somebody out there in the world excited about this, but I need to prepare. I need to get ready. What is there pain involved in this, or? Yeah,
there can be. It really depends. But yeah, there might be a moment of pain, a quick flash, but you're a tough guy, Dave. You'll be fine.
Is there anything I can do to prepare?
No, not really. No. I mean, you might want to go out and find a wrestling ring and fall down a bunch and see how that feels. But otherwise, but I guess though that doesn't really matter. We're going to do it on the stage, right? So yeah. So it'd be a lot easier in the ring actually than on the stage. So what I'm doing is actually harder. Yes. Yeah. Or stupider, depending on how you look at it. You'll be fine. I mean, seriously, you'll be fine. I mean, people live through it, and after a few years, you'll recombobulate yourself and be able to walk again, and you'll be good. I didn't ever think this was possible because I said, our professional relationship happened in Knoxville. We met each other, but my relationship with you as Kane started many, many years ago, and you scared the crap out of me as a little kid. But I didn't think it's possible. You're scaring me a little more right now. But here's the deal of this. You were the one that brought it up, not me. As I remember, you were the one that actually made the offer. And put it out there on the table. And all I did was say, yeah, that's cool, man. Let's do it. But once we shake hands and we have an agreement, we've got to follow through on it. Moment of total honesty. I threw it out there just assuming I'm in. This is an old retired wrestler. He doesn't want to pick up a portly guy like myself. A little did I know. I don't. You may be a retired wrestler, but you're not old. You know what? Maybe I could throw this out there. Maybe you could find a surrogate who will take your place. No. You're going to do it? All right. I'm doing it. All right. Well, man, it's all on you then. I mean, again, folks, for the audience, this is not my idea. This is all on you. All right. It'll all be on me. But you remember, if you feel that chokes, I mean, there's a reversal to the choke slam, and I'm going to learn it. Okay. I think. Well, good luck with that. All right. Yeah. Well, it's easy to be tough when you're talking to you via Zoom. Yeah, that's right. Mayor Glenn Jacobs, I hope we make this dream of mine or nightmare of mine become a reality. You are the greatest mayor in the world. Thank you very much. Well, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. And to all my friends out there in the bass fishing world, you provide folks a lot of great entertainment. So I just appreciate you guys, and hopefully we will see you in Knox County sometime over the next couple of years. I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Just sleep, rest well with this, my friend. What you gonna do when Dave-O-Mania runs wild on you? Intimidated, I can tell. Yes. I think he might have been intimidated. I don't know. I saw something in his eyes. I mean, either rage or intimidation. You let me know in the comments whether I've bitten off more than I can chew this time, or my big mouth has gotten me in trouble, just like all my guidance counselors told me it would. I want to thank our two great guests this week and remind you, there's a lot of great podcasts on the internet. This one just happens to be ours, and I'm very thankful that you guys choose to listen to it. See ya.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmaster told you to. You hear?